British MPs vote to seek Brexit delay from European Union. ABC News. Australian Broadcasting Corpor. Just 2 weeks out from when the United Kingdom was supposed to withdraw from the European Union, the British Parliament has voted to ask the EU for a delay of the Brexit deadline. MPs in the House of Commons carried the government motion to delay the EU leave date, which had been set for March 29, 412 votes to 202. Prime Minister Theresa May will now travel to Brussels to try and seek an extension until June 30, but it is understood EU officials will push for a longer period of time. A spokesman for the European Commission said extending the withdrawal date would need the unanimous. Mrs. May will have another chance next week to push her beleaguered withdrawal deal through Parliament. The deal has already. Earlier, Mrs. May narrowly survived a bid by the Parliament to wrest control of the Brexit process from her government. Voting on a cross-party amendment to give Parliament a say on withdrawal negotiations, MPs wound up 312 for to 314 against, a losing margin of just 2 votes. The amendment stated that its intent was to enable Mrs. May, who has been battling a lost voice since Tuesday, did not speak after the votes, but her official spokesman said she had absolutely everything. After the vote, opposition leader Jeremy Corbyn reaffirmed his support for a second referendum, despite ordering his MPs not to vote for the amendment to bring one about. Today, Labour MPs abstained from voting on the second referendum amendment, on the grounds that it was the wrong time to push for it. A fourth amendment put forward by Mr. Corbyn to allow MPs more time to find a majority. A spokesman for the EU Commission said it had taken notice of the Parliament's decision, but reiterated that any extension of the Article 50 withdrawal agreement would have to be approved by all EU member states.
Raindrop, drop top smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park pot.